All right, there we go. We're live.
Hey, what's happening, everybody? It's Flipside Music with the back.
We'll mess with the screen part later.
Okay.
I forgot.
Oh, yeah. And as always, I'm here with
Dylan.
welcome to Furnace Thursday.
Yes. Yeah, 3 Furnace Thursday.
If anybody would like to send us money, please feel free. We need furnaces.
Yeah.
Not just furnaces.
Furnaces.
Yes. So we have the furnaces
If you'd like to help furnish us with furnaces.
Furni.
Yeah.
Trace Furnice. Is this? Trace Furnice.
Trace Furnace.
Yeah, we had the AC and furnaces service today, and not the best news we've ever received here. So feel free to give to our furnace fund.
Yes.
We'll be starting that shortly. It'll be the GoFundMe.
Are we loud enough? I didn't see the comments.
Say what?
We're loud enough? Just making sure.
I think so.
Okay.
And we
If we're too
I
quiet,
got,
just...
I got it in my ears.
Okay.
too.
sweet. Can you
Okay.
scooch that thing over here? You got, if you can. Well, he's got the free hands.
Yeah. All right, yeah. Well, then, yeah, do you want to say the hellos when you can see it closer, I guess?
Yeah. So give us a second. We're gonna do a little scooching.
We just got to move a screen over.
So how's the audio? Huh. There we go. There we go. Don't worry. It's all good. So what are we doing today?
All right, so... Well,
And then
yeah,
we'll-
did
then
we have
we'll say
any...
hello to everything-
Did we have any discussion-y bits first, or do we want to say what we're doing and then do the discussion? Because this is sort of one part discussion, one part demo.
Yeah. So let me say hello to everybody. We got Eric Lettinger, Carla's in here, Sean's in here, Janice Lala's in here. So hello everybody. Dastardly Dave's is here as well.
Is he doing dastardly things?
Yes, indeed. Spuns 6. What does that mean? Sounds. Okay. So typos.
Gotcha.
That's what's going on.
Spuns.
Spuns 6. I'm like, is that a new email address? Is that a thing? Anyway, what are we looking at today?
So, yeah, the pedals that are on the board currently, I guess, yeah, it's, like I said, one part discussion, one part demo of effects that seem to kind of stand the test of time even though they're rarely used. So, like, my main example was, I was kind of having a discussion with Gooch the other day of uses of ring mods. Because, like, to me, like, the ring mod is an effect that, like, a lot of people explore, but it's not something that's, like, overly used or overly present. And, like, the examples we were even coming up with were not necessarily newer artists. They were mostly, I mean, ZZ Top, oddly, you know, is one that...
Yeah.
So they use it on cheap sunglasses. The part that sort of sounds like a weird keyboard, that's actually a ring mod. And then it's like that little breakdown. And then they actually, yeah, I think they do use it just on the slide. Like, not the whole riff, but just like there's an added bit where, yeah, but that part there, they have a ring mod going. So that was kind of how the discussion started. But the other person that I always think of with ring mods was Tony Iommi. He used a few of them for like weird solos, especially like the Paranoid solo is the main one that like comes to mind. So that weird, slightly disjointed sound that you hear. I mean, not only is he running a couple tracks, but on one side he has a ring mod that's basically just shredding the shit out of the signal. And like when we get to that one, you guys can kind of hear what I mean. But I was trying to think of, and I guess if you two think of anybody or if the audience thinks of anybody, but like who's somebody else that you immediately think of like ring mod? Because it's an effect, like I said, that sticks around all the time, but like how often is it really utilized?
Can't think of anybody.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like to me, it's an interesting thing that a lot of people, because
I'm
like
not thinking of it. Yeah,
weekly,
right off the bat, I don't.
yeah, weekly if not daily, we get people that ask for like a ring mod. And like the Fairfield one that we'll end up using, Randy's Revenge, that one's one that gets brought up a lot. But to me, it was one of those things of like, who, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people use it for like little odd things here and there now. But again, like in terms of who popularized the effect, I was trying to think of like.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Because I don't, like right offhand, I'm not thinking of anything.
Well, because, you know, it's obviously there's lots of flavors of broken. and
Yeah.
some appeal more to other people than others. But like to me, that's a case of an effect that's like it's literally been 5 decades of people using it, or longer maybe, of people using that effect. But it's not something that like everybody's like what you need as a ring mod,
Right, ring mod.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what this is missing.
Yeah.
So besides ring mod, a ring mod. Hi, buddy. Hello, Mr. Ziggle. Ziggy's right here. What else we got on the octave?
So that one,
Which I think is probably utilized more often.
it is. But I was thinking too, it's definitely, it kind of depends, because I'm like sure some guitarists feel like when do they really end up hearing, especially an analog octave up effect. So that's going to be, I mean, to me, like blues rock, some jazz, some more modern players like Darren Auerbach, he'll use some of that. Obviously, Gary Clark, but again, they're still kind of in that blues rock kind of vibe. So I think it's used a lot in certain genres, but outside of that, I was trying to think again of like other people that really use the analog octave up stuff very often.
All right, what else we got? We got the
Berserker. So yeah, Jacob will refresh us and the audience on what that one is. But my main argument for that, before we get to that, is just anything with a bias control, like, again, particular flavors of broken, any biased effects I feel like are ones that get used sparingly. And it's another one, though, that, like, there's biases on a lot of different fuzzes and drives and distortions and things. The other one we got on here is the Arpanoid from Earthquaker Devices. So that one, obviously, it just does arpeggios in different ways. It's an effect, obviously, that gets used particularly more with like synth stuff. So for guitar players, it's one of those ones that's kind of sometimes iffy, but it's also another thing that like I feel like a lot of different, well, at least obviously since the Arpanoid came out, I feel like it's been more predominant. But it's something that people have wanted for a long time, obviously, on the guitar side of things. It's just another kind of underutilized thing. Like, it finally came out, and then it's not really like, it's not like you hear it everywhere now. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, it's got its place. It's just not, it's not an overdrive.
Right.
Or something like that. Where
it's not standard fare. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And then same thing with flangers, because to me, I would say flangers are maybe the last stop for a lot of people when it comes to modulation. Like, that's the one that a lot of people kind of...
I don't think that's the first thing they go for.
Yeah, it's like, I would almost say, like, even like Jacob and I were saying earlier, I would almost argue like flanger's kind of an acquired taste. Because, like, there are some artists you really think of, obviously, like, to me, like, Thin Lizzy always comes to mind. Like, they put it on a lot of stuff. Now, granted, that was, like, actual tape flange, which I would argue is a lot better. But, like, Prince is one like, sometimes he'd literally just run over to kick it for, like, one bend, just so you get one, like, and, like, then he'd turn it off. So, like, he'd use it very sparingly, but he's somebody I always felt like actually used it pretty effectively.
Which song is it? Is it When Doves Cry or Purple Rain that has that chorus effect?
I think it is part of Purple Rain.
Purple
like the
Rain's
song
got
on
the
that,
chorus effect. I mean, that's all over the front of it.
That's a flanger.
Right, set to specific settings. Yeah.
Not a chorus?
Not a chorus.
Right. And a lot of people did use, like, even, which Gordo would know, but whoever the guitar player was for Susie Sue, they used the same thing. Like, they used the flanger as a chorus a lot of times, and it's like to me it's a more interesting kind of use. Especially a lot of the new wave stuff actually has a lot of like flangers used as choruses. But again,
That's where you heard a lot of it.
Yeah.
80s, there was a lot of flange happening.
Well, yeah, and I would say that's another one.
Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah.
He has a signature flanger, right?
Yeah, but I would say it's still one of those ones where, like, again, like kind of like you said, it's not the first stop for a lot of people for modulation. Like, I feel like phasers and other things are a little easier.
Chorus.
Yeah, those are easier to get
even
into.
Trem is going to get there beforehand. I mean, you could argue delay is going to be in the modulation kind of realm. So
yeah.
All right, well, so that's what we're going to check out today.
Yeah.
I don't know what stories are in the greater.
So the thing I brought up earlier was that AI and how AI
Oh, yeah,
is not necessarily always right. because it's aggregating from all of the internet, and so if you're building a pedal board or trying to design a pedal,
Oh yeah,
or
Yeah.
that there may be flaws in the system that don't translate to
Real
to a
world.
real,
Yeah.
real world application. I think the the chat breaker
That-
from
Yeah.
it's a great
Rev,
example.
they went online to just go, hey, build us
Design
this,
us a circuit, yeah.
design us a circuit, and we did talk to like Derek and the designer, and they were like, it gave us it pointed us in a direction and got down the path,
Yeah.
but there was a lot of work to
On
undo
the weird things that it did.
the
Yeah.
so they had to really go in and tweak it to make it actually be a functioning circuit, because the way that spit it out originally, it just wasn't going to
Wasn't
work.
usable. Well, and that was the same thing. Like we had a recent
There
example.
wasn't like a full path for the audio to travel through.
Right.
Yeah,
Or
I
yeah,
think
just the
Dan
wrong
had to go
components in the wrong place. Yeah.
Yeah, Dan had to go in and like retweak and make things work. So, and they tried to
Yeah, it's
keep
almost
it,
like it gave him a sketch, but he had to go in and finish.
and really
Yeah.
used his knowledge to actually make it be a functional piece of equipment.
Right. Well, and that was we had a more like, I wouldn't say common, but probably a more, or I would assume it's going to be a more common occurrence, where we had a customer come in that needed some help with wiring their pedal board, but initially they asked AI like how to wire up their pedal board,
Oh.
and it was one of those
AI
things
is
where
not
like,
the answer for everything.
no, it's definitely not. But it was just one of those things where the things that it gave him it had nothing to do with anything. Like it had nothing to do with any of it really. And so it was one of those things that, again, like just talking to a real person that,
That actually knows what they're
right.
doing.
So I mean, luckily he ended up coming in and just chatting, and it was real simple to get him kind of up and running and just give him a, here's your signal path kind of 101 kind of thing. But it was just an interesting thing that like I hadn't heard anybody ask that yet. And then it occurred to me, I'm like, oh man, I'm sure that's happening more and more often because now like the first
bet there
search
is.
engine you go in, like when you go into Google now, like usually the first box that you end up getting is AI generated.
you're right.
So it's like it's gonna just kind of like Jacob said, it's compiling information from like everywhere, and it doesn't necessarily have the filter that a human with experience would have. Now, granted, yeah, the shit's gonna get better or whatever, eventually, I'm sure, but it still doesn't solve, just basic things that experience gives you.
And it's also going to be what the input is. So
Right.
if you're not incredibly articulate in what you're asking, it's not going to give you a very articulate answer. Because I
Right.
used it last week. I was like, oh, you know what, this would be cool? I've heard about this AI thing. So I went to Chat GPT and I was like, let me type something in and see what it
gives
comes up with. And it was a good
Starting point.
starting point, and then I had to go in and like add this and that, and because it was weird, so I had to go in and kind of redo it and adjust the things to make it sound like me,
Right.
because but it wasn't quite right. So that's what you get with the other stuff too, because I see the search stuff, because there's times I'm searching, I go, this doesn't seem right.
Yeah.
And then you dive in a little deeper or go watch a YouTube.
You're like, I don't know exactly what I'm doing, but I know enough to know that this isn't.
This isn't
isn't
100% right, or I know enough to know that what they just told me isn't right.
Right.
Let me go over here because I go watch a YouTube video, and it's actually somebody doing the thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I think it was something had to do with drywall, because I'm redoing my bathroom. So I think it was something to do with a portion of the repair, and I was like, you know what? Let me watch a video on how an expert would approach this, because I'm not an expert at drywall and mudding and all that stuff, but I've done it enough that I could. The end product could be good, but I got to futz around a bit. So the point is there's got to be an expert that knows how to do this, clearly tips and tricks. So that's what I was looking for, and I go. And once I watched the video, it was some guy in Vancouver actually, and I was like, that's the part that I've missed.
Yeah.
And that's the part it was about feathering, how to feather the stuff in.
Oh, okay,
without
yeah,
having to do extra shit.
Yeah.
But then also I was like, okay, yes,
Yeah.
this mud would be better to use than this other mud, because I need to do a specific thing because the walls are all effed and all that. So I was like, okay, I'll use that mud and I'll use this feathering technique. And I was like, okay, this is incredibly better.
Yeah.
Much better. And less sanding too. Because
Yeah.
the original green, if anybody wants to know, the green mud, it's a bitch to sand.
Okay.
But if you use +3, it's a lightweight, it sands easier, and it smooths better. Like, if anybody needs to know that, either. So I think Janice has got a question, yeah?
Yeah, she said she has a short scale bass that she wants to synth up with effects. So she's asking what would be good for that. I mean, there's a few things like Jacob suggested. Obviously, the Enzo X is definitely going to knock that out, and then some. Main pitch for the Enzo X2 would be how many other effects you're getting in addition to like the synthy parts, because you end up getting chorus, flange, vibrato, different pitch effects. You get all kinds of lo-fi effects. You get reverb, delay. So like a lot of different things going on. Auto wahs, filters, flanging. You know, all kinds of things.
If you're from Canada, it works out great.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Because you get the auto.
Yeah, you get direct one way out to Ottawa. Yeah.
Hey, I'll be here all week. 2 shows tomorrow night.
And it does all your synthy bits.
Yes,
Yeah,
and it does all the
your
synthy bits.
That's just,
Yes, yeah.
That's just,
That's
it
just
also-
the effects. So
But the Enzo X is also like $5.99.
it is. So yeah,
So
if
it
you're-
depends on what you're looking for as
Yeah.
far as your budget. If you're
Yeah.
trying to say, let's say you're trying to be in the 200 to 250 range, like with a C.
does SY1?
Well, I mean, yeah, really, the only one that's
SY1.
going to do that in that range because
What about the source audio?
the C4 that's going to be about 280, and then
Okay.
the Boss SY200. And honestly, I would say if you just want one thing that's going to knock it out, have presets, and you know it's pretty easy to get into, that is where I would say the SY200 is really good. If you want versatility, though, that's where like the C4, like the C4 is definitely more versatile, but I would say the Boss one is definitely a lot easier to get it up and running a lot quicker. So, and the tracking, honestly, on both, I mean, honestly, on all three is really good, but the Boss one, especially for bass, is actually particularly good. So,
She's also asking about, sounds good for guitar. Can you hook it up for multiple inputs?
it is stereo, so you could technically run either 2 inputs or run a stereo signal into the Enzo. So yes, that one would knock that out. The C4 is also stereo. The SY200 is a little bit different. That one actually has an effects loop. So that one's basically mono input, mono output, but it has an internal effects loop that also has jack, so that you could run other effects in parallel rather than just right into it. So
There you
a
go.
few different ways to go, but all of those are good. So
Also, hello, Dwight. He popped in,
oh, did he?
said hello. So,
Nice.
what's up, dude?
But yeah, I think AI is a good tool. You just have to know how to use it and be able to discern whether the information is as accurate as it may present.
Yeah, you got to question it a bit.
Yeah.
That's why I think you can't just look at the first thing that pops up. You kind of got to. It's just like anything. Like there's been more than once where I'm like, I got to fix this thing. I got a general idea how to fix it, but I don't know how to specifically do it. So I'll go watch a few videos. Here, an example is I had a
few videos.
yeah. Here's an
from
example.
Different people.
I had to change the pins on my Astro van when I had the Astro van. And the pins were worn out, so the door was sagging. Now, I knew what the problem was, but I'm like, okay, I realized I've never had to change a pin out before.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So let me check to make sure that there again, tips and tricks, things to realize. So I watched probably about 6 videos, and to be honest, the worst video from some dude in the South, real thick Southern accent. It was the worst video quality. It was terrible. Audio was shit. But that dude knew exactly how to fix it. And
Yeah.
some of the other ones that were better were sort of right and sort of not right. But that dude from the South with the bad video, like, nailed it.
Yeah, usually the dude like holding his phone with his mouth while trying to like hold the light and tell you about shit. Like,
Yeah.
that's usually like the guy that literally knows exactly what to do and how to do it quick.
I guarantee that dude has changed out a lot of door pins.
Yeah, yeah.
Because this dude was like, man, this is what you got to do this. And then you get yourself a bucket. You put it underneath the door there because that's not. And I did everything that he said. Because
Yeah.
I was like, this guy, I did everything he said and it worked exactly like,
He said
I
it
had to go
would,
get,
yeah.
I didn't have a tool. There was a special tool to take the take the spring out. So that was a kind of a thing. I'm like, oh, I would have just fought with it and tried to do it with a big ass screwdriver.
Yeah.
You know, and that dude knew exactly what he was doing, and it took me. He switched it out quickly. Like, he was done in 10 minutes. Now, it probably took me more of about half hour because I was trying to be careful. But that dude, so you got to watch a few, and some of the other dudes were on track, but they weren't 100%. This guy nailed it. Stop. And so I watched other videos from him on doing certain things. I'm like, yeah, this guy knows what he's doing.
I think too, because everybody learns different. Therefore, too, everybody values different information when they're trying to teach somebody else something. So yeah, I think like watching things from a few different people, because then again, like I said, depending on what they value as information, is stuff that like you know, because not everybody's gonna catch all of it. I mean, that's one of those things. Like you would hope that would be the case, but I remember like a lot of how-to videos, especially when you're working on anything related to a car or motorcycle or anything. A lot of that shit, it's like they always leave out some little connective bit that you really need. Like, you really need this help
what about
with
this?
Yeah. Yeah,
what
and it's
about
like that's
this
the
part?
one thing that they always seem to leave out when it's like a really professional video.
Yeah.
Whereas, like you said, some of these like how-to, or some of these guys that are just winging it, a lot of times they're giving you or at least they're giving you step by step as they're doing it because they're literally doing it.
And they'll give you the, hey, watch out for this bit.
Exactly.
Watch out for this thing. Like
Yeah.
the drywall stuff, I watched a few videos on that, and I was like, okay, well, this guy did a really comprehensive video on how to do this, the skim coating part.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Because I got to fix the old tile bullshit. And the one got really detailed, but I watched a couple guys that did it, and there was different tips from different people, because the guy's like, oh, the way you do, the guy was like, you want to do this and put the pressure here, but the other guy was like, use this finger when you're doing it, kind of scoop this way and do it like this, and that's what you'll.
Yeah.
And one of the other guys gave the same kind of information on how to feather, but didn't give you the scoop bit or how to, like, hey, put your thumb here, and this is how you're going to kind of control it a little bit better. So yeah, you got to get a little bit from everybody. Oh, Sean used to be a drywaller.
Oh, there you go.
Sean, you want to finish this job for me? I'm almost done. I got the first skim coats on to fill the gaps. I got the lighter weight stuff to do now and fill in the rest, and I should be good. And I'm using like wainscoting on the bottom, so I only have about this much to really feather through, and it's working out all right. But the walls were effed because they were tiled before from the 50s. So good times. Anyway, nobody wants to hear about drywall shit.
I was gonna say, like, some of those really well done videos too, the influencer types, they're not necessarily experts in that thing. They just like make videos about topics that.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So even though it's flashy and looks good, it may not have
One,
solid
Or
information.
when people review stuff and it's like, you don't really use this thing, do you?
well, and that really actually brings
We've
up
never
a
actually played live.
well, yeah, and I was gonna say that brings up a bigger point of influencers are going to use whatever they can whenever they can, regardless of whether they understand it. So if the prevalence of AI grows and they start using protocols written by AI on how to do shit,
then AI is going to think that's
yeah, because like, and then you're going to have influencers throwing out wrong information because that's where they got it from whatever search they use, and like that's the shit that I do worry about when it does come to some of that stuff is like, I mean, because it's one thing like if you mess up a technique baking some shit, it's a whole nother thing. Well, actually, that could be dangerous. I'm trying to think of a scenario where it wouldn't be that dangerous.
You got to be pretty precise because you.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Well, yeah, and depending on what you put in, but I mean, it's just again, it just goes back to there is a reason. Obviously, human experience should be valued. So.
But there's also a lot of fake shit out there because we've all seen hey, this is how we make Italian spaghetti at my house. We just pour it right in the sink and then put ragu on it. And what do you,
Oh my God.
what?
Are those people that make shit in their bathtubs?
Yeah,
I've seen
yeah.
I've seen the video of the lady. She's like, "This is how we feed it when we have a bunch of people," and she just lays out pasta on the fucking counter, and then pours
that's like a whole thing.
and then pours spaghetti sauce on it, and then puts like some shit garlic bread next to it, and she goes, "This is how I'm Italian. This is how we do it family style." I'm like, no, I guarantee it's no. This nobody does this.
Yeah.
Don't believe this shit. And there's a lot of videos out there that do that, and it's like nobody does it like this. Then there's the videos that I like to go, you can't eat at everybody's house. You just can't eat at everybody's house because people do stupid shit. You know, when you see a picture of like, hey, I put the toilet seat in the fucking dishwasher.
Right.
You can't eat at everybody's house. It's a tip, kids.
Yeah.
Anybody's watching this video, trust me, you can't eat at everybody's house
Yeah.
because you don't know how they do shit.
Yeah.
If you're putting the toilet seat in the dishwasher,
Yeah.
are you kidding me? I don't get it. There's no justification for that.
I feel like there's
Now,
a story there.
if
but-
you take the toilet seat out back and you hit it down with the hose, different story. I could see that. That makes more sense.
Making some compost.
Yeah, dishwasher? That's insane. Oh my God. I saw that on, I don't know, it was TikTok or something. And I was like, oh, it's gross.
Yeah,
Freaking
that is
gross.
pretty gross.
Anyway. All right, what do we got? We got a few things in here. Oh, Sean knows exactly what I'm talking about as far as skim coating over
Yeah.
the tile bits, the old tile glue and nastiness. I scraped it to get it as level as I could before I skim coated it. But man, what a pain in the ass. I hate it. It's terrible.
Janice was wondering if she could use the guitar and bass at the same time. I think so. It'd be more about like what you're outputting to, right?
Yeah, I would think it would depend on that because the routing, the signal routing is definitely a little more full featured in like the LVX than I would say the Enzo. The Enzo is definitely more about kind of an amalgam of the effect going out in stereo. I wouldn't say like the signal routing's quite as. I mean, I suppose if you did a split, you know, put it into split mode, you could kind of, but that sort of defeats the purpose of
I
using
think she just
both.
meant at the same time.
Yeah, and I think
Like
with the
not output to separate sources, but
yeah, because I was gonna say that's where it would be harder to choose. Like if you had, because like with the LVX, let's say that one you could choose if you had a sub octave thing running, you could choose if it was all the way to the left or all the way to the right, so that when you go to the output, you would, you know, if you had a bass amp for one side versus the other, you could actually route it that way.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas like the Enzo, the Enzo doesn't necessarily give you that same like side to side mixing.
Hi, buddy.
that's cool. I didn't know that the LVX did that.
Yeah, with like anything that you can hard pan, you can kind of, and any of the pitch stuff you can do left and right. So it ends up being, because that's what, something I was noticing on a few of my settings, is like, it's definitely like if I'm hearing the upper octave over here when we're in here versus the sub over here, it's a lot harder to tell, like, because I'm hearing that a lot clearer than I'm hearing the sub part. So sometimes I'm like, oh man, is like half my signal gone? It's like, no, it's just because it just sounds
It's
that,
going on the other side.
yeah. But
Oh, see, we got a few comments on the toilet seat and the dishwasher
Yeah,
comment
yeah.
thing.
Yep.
Yeah, hats, I can understand a hat. Like, I think, but that's it. Like,
They
that's,
even make that thing, that little like.
yeah, that I can see, and that's okay. I can understand a hat. No, don't put the toilet seat in the frickin' dishwasher.
no.
Whoever, don't ever do that. It's terrible. Terrible idea.
Yeah. No, that's
Hey, Amanda's here. What's happening, Amanda?
borderline horrifying. But
So that Verzer,
yep.
All right.
the Verzer.
Yeah, Verzer from Frederick.
A highly tweakable recreation of East Germany's only distortion effect, the Baum Trick Verzer.
Okay.
The bomb trick Verzer.
Yep.
That's not easy to say. Well, we'll give that a whirl.
And it's like BOHM, like ohm with a B. Bohm.
Boom. Okay.
Boom.
I would assume.
It's the boom, yo.
Bohm trick.
Just people that don't talk right. I was listening to a podcast the other marketing. No. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and this guy, I mean, as far as like pronunciation,
Yeah, no, I got yeah.
you know I don't talk right. But the guy, he kept saying like one vowel was always like not like it was doctor instead of doctor. It's like doctor, and it was all this weird shit. But he wasn't like from like an area that would kind of. It was just he had like a couple vowels that were completely said wrong, and I'm like, is this guy just fucking with everybody, or is this the way he talks? Because I can never listen to him again.
Oh, well, no, I kind of get it because like there are.
And he was like
certain-
some kind of marketer for books and
Oh,
shit.
yeah, because there's certain amalgams of like accents that happen sometimes. Okay, so like, well, because actually some of the Canadian folks might know. So like Mitch Hooper, he's like the current world's strongest man. But he like lived in Australia and he lived in Canada and like in his teens, and so it's just so interesting when you listen to him talk because like. It like literally mid word sometimes he'll go through like a Canadian to Australian and end on Canadian.
So
and it's just like such an interesting accent to hear. I mean he's it's not like his accent's weird or anything, but it's just funny when you catch those little like the little Australian bits that work their way into his Canadian accent.
I got a cousin who lives in Boston who's from Italy. So Constantino has an Italian Boston accent.
Oh, wow.
And it is like this.
That's pretty. Yeah.
It just blends, and you're just like, what the hell is happening here? Because he's got he's got the Italian accent, but it's then
kind of
it's got the wah part that you get from Boston, and it's like, what the hell is going on here, man? Like this just doesn't make any sense to me. But it's really funny because
That is funny.
Yeah,
I hadn't
it's an
thought
interesting.
about,
it's an
Boston
interesting
Italian
cross. It's a
yeah.
Boston Italian act because he's been in Boston for so long.
Yeah.
That because if you're in an area for long enough,
you
you're starting to
absorb
pick
some
up
of it.
stuff.
Yeah.
You're going to start to pick up how certain things are kind of
Yeah.
pronounced. It just happens. But yeah, so I totally get it. All right, we're at the 4:40 mark.
Oh,
so
shit, all right, let's
let's
get
play
those
some
pedals
shit
in.
because we'll keep talking.
Yeah. So I guess since we started the whole conversation with the ring mod, we'll start with the ring mod. Is this the? Oh yeah, hurry up.
I mean, it's very tremolo-ish.
Well, right now it's kind of walking the line between like chorus and trem as you go up in the.
Well, that's all ring mod is, right? It's just
Here-
super fast.
That one is, I was gonna say, here's a more traditional kind of, yeah, because like that's what I mean. It can go from, so with the flick of a switch, you can go from that to this. So,
Hey, what's the thing? Or the with Peanuts teacher.
oh yeah.
What was that other one? I like that other one you had.
Which one?
The two before that one. Backspace twice.
Yeah.
That's the one I like.
Yeah.
That's like you're thinking about something. My
Processing.
My brain's
Yeah.
not working.
Yeah.
I kind of like that though. You could have a lot of fun with that.
It is.
That we could use that as background for a sci-fi movie. I like it though.
Take that to your blues jam.
Yeah. Watch everybody's head explode.
I think that's a sine wave, so if we go to square wave, it should get more broken, I would imagine. Yeah.
I see where it would have its place.
Yeah.
It totally depends on what you're doing.
And it's got CV controls, so I think you can
What I'm doing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that, like, where am I gonna put that?
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's an effect though that like obviously stands the test of time. People keep making them. People keep making different versions. But it's like, how often are you gonna use some of that stuff?
You use that for a bridge when you're stuck.
Yeah.
You're like, what's the use of this bridge? I don't know.
That, or even like I kind of like the way I only used it as like a weird layer behind a normal guitar solo.
Amanda had it, right? Read her,
What does it say? Film strip music. Computers are everywhere. In your school, at home. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just end on the question. No. All right, what else we got?
Yeah, I'll mess with it. I don't think
Alright.
I actually played that one before.
Hey, Hal, open up the cargo bay.
That is interesting.
That's a tough one to place. I mean, it's cool. Those are cool sounds. There's a lot of usable stuff there, depending on what you're doing. I think that.
I don't know if that would be always on
No.
Right, yeah. It's a sparingly used
That'd be the
effect.
quickly leave pedal.
Yeah, it's very weird. How does it actually? Well, no, I like straight. We'll get to that one in a minute. But yeah, this is definitely pretty weird.
It reminds me of like 60s sci-fi, you know, type. Like, there's definitely Godzilla stuff.
Next time, Land of the Lost.
Yeah. Sleek stacks. All right.
All right, next one. Which one? Yeah, I guess we'll do the Berserker.
And this is supposed to be overdrive?
It said distortion. It didn't really specify what kind of distortion. Though.
Sounds pretty fuzzy.
Yes. Yeah.
I like it though. Still sounds very fuzzy to me.
Are you on your neck pickup by chance?
No.
Okay, go to your yeah. If you go above the 12, it should get this way. again, not a super common effect, but it has its place and it's great.
You know, it's. I kind of like that though.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, very black keys like.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, most upper octaves, for anybody who hasn't used an analog upper octave, because we actually have a very similar one in the Demogorgon, it can be a little bit gated, so it kind of has an interesting feel to it, and they're actually pretty fun. Like, Gordo actually uses that on like his clean tones a lot for just weird kind of textures, because it's kind of abrasive, but like in the right way. Yeah, without the... That's actually pretty cool too.
That level always surprises me.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sounds very 80s-ish, like, you know.
Yeah, but like messed up.
on the VHS, there's a
Yeah, yeah.
Oop.
Each one of those is actually way different.
It's kind of cool.
Well, it's on the echo settings. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
So that sound there's a stoner rock. It's like a stoner rock channel on YouTube that I listen to. That the dude plays a lot. That is very similar to a couple of the tones I've heard.
sounds
Yeah,
like it.
just it's
Yeah.
very kind of. But it works because he's usually got like a heavy riff in the back. So it's kind of that's really cool. I like that. I like that combo. That's it's a flat light in the Berserker. No Arpo. No Argo. No Arpo, no Argo. Yeah, that's the one, baby.
That one is pretty weird.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can you?
They're getting that upper octave too.
What's that? That's the alien speaking to you.
Oh, from Mars Attacks.
Yeah, Mars Attacks.
Yeah. Yep.
That's what we should do is do a short movie just using effects and guitars, and that's how the whole thing goes through.
Yeah, that could be cool. Wow. For that stuff, though, like the 80s and
That's Terminator shit right there. So I really liked it. That's a cool combo. Oh, is it? Nah, shit. All right. Let's do a 30-second Arbanoid. Yeah, man. just outside of Las Vegas when the drugs kicked in. That's kind of fun.
Add a couple steps.
We might go a couple minutes now. I want to try that one. That's definitely computer, 80s computer shit right there. Though.
Oh yeah. Your Microsoft Windows system.
Is now online. That's kind of fun.
Yeah.
All right, let me try it, and then we get. Let me try it, and then we get out of here.
Okay.
There's a lot of weird stuff going on there.
I went to Beowulf the other day. This sounds like that place.
This is all sci-fi movie stuff. Press the button. Oh, that's different.
Add in the organ.
Add in what?
The organ.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's wild what combos like really kick things out. Other things that kind of doesn't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
All right, well, that's enough of that shit. All right, well, thanks everybody for hanging out and checking out these pedals with us. Some cool stuff to experiment with if you want to get a little spacey.
Yeah, out of the normal. Kind of like I said, like effects that have stuck around despite how infrequently they get used, but they can obviously be used to some pretty cool sounds that you can get. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was trying to avoid that, but yeah, we'll just go for the low-hanging fruit on the pun tree.
That Versa and the flat light sounded really good. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks everybody for hanging out, and joining us. And go check out the Texas Toast guys, and then go check out Dylan Talks Tone. And we will catch you guys
On the flip side.
Yeah.
It sounds like weird, like questing music from the 80s.
Your quest has been set. Follow the rabbit down the hole.
It's PowerPoint music.
That or like the beginning of like a never-ending story or something.
Are we gonna end this thing?
Nah.
Those
You're playing
80s,
us out.
Like, are you going to be using the Square Fool 3000? You need to plug